The opinions within this video are my own. If you don't agree with them, then good. The world would be boring if everyone agreed on everything and disliked the same stuff. My apologies for mispronounced names and words, because that will be happening. So before I get started with this list, I just want to say that there's no ranking system for how excited I am to see these movies. They're just listed in release date order. But there is one that I'm probably more excited to see over the others, which I'll discuss later. And I also understand that most of these are reboots or sequels or prequels to existing films. But I guess that's just the way that the industry is going, and they're not really producing anything original that interests me, at least not for this year. But I'm sure there's some out there that I don't know about yet, or don't know too much about yet. And another note is that some of the release dates are probably off by about 1, maybe 2 days, depending on where you live and which side of the world you're on. So be sure to check your local dates and with your local cinemas when it gets closer to the release of these films. So here we go. So on March 20, we have the release of the sequel to Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, and follow-up to the 2019 cult hit. And it's directed by the same directors as the first one, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin, probably pronounced that wrong, and Tyler Gillett. But they both directed the first one, which I enjoyed, so I'm looking forward to the second one. And it stars, once again, Samara Weaving, and it's got Catherine Newton, Elijah Wood, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Kevin Durand, and yeah, looking forward to this one. And on April 17, we have yet another Mummy movie. This one is directed by Lee Cronin, and it's a standalone Mummy movie, and it's meant to have a fresh take on the franchise. And it's also got being produced by Blumhouse and Atomic Monster, which sort of promises to be darker and hopefully better than some of the others. It's starring Jack Rayner, Leia Costa, Veronica Falcon, and Natalie Grace, who aren't necessarily big names. But I'm looking forward to it, as Lee Cronin usually puts his own spin on everything. So hopefully this is a good reboot. And on May 15, we have Mortal Kombat 2 expected to drop, which continues on from the successful first movie. And it's got a similar cast with Joe Taslim, Hiroyuki Sanada, Jessica McNamee, Josh Lawson's back as Kano. And this time they've actually added Carl Urban as Johnny Cage, which they probably should have done in the first movie. And it's directed by the same director as Mortal Kombat 1, Simon McQuaid. And hopefully this one continues on with the first film's success, and we actually see some tournament action. And being released on June 5th is, I guess you'd call it a reboot, because there was an original made, but Masters of the Universe, directed by Travis Knight. This one's starring Nicholas Galitzine as Adam/He-Man. We've got Jared Leto in there, Marina Baccarin, Camila Mendes, Idris Elba, Alison Brie. We've got Hafthor Julius Bjornsson, the Mountain from Game of Thrones fans. And it's a pretty high budget movie, and the trailer actually looked better than I expected, so looking forward to that one. July 17, we've got the Odyssey dropping, which is obviously Christopher Nolan's epic that's adapted from the Homer's Odyssey books. And this one's probably one of the biggest movies to come out of this year with respect to expectations from people as far as awards and things go. And it's got a pretty massive cast, so probably can't name everybody, but it's got Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Zendaya, Charlize Theron, John Bernthal, and it's shot purely for IMAX, so this is one that you'd actually want to get to the cinemas to see. And due for release on or around July 22nd is another Evil Dead movie. This one's Evil Dead Burn, which is a standalone movie in the Evil Dead series. And it's directed by Sebastian Vanacek, who's a French director. And it's starring Sahaili Yacoub, Hunter Doohan, Lucian Buchanan. And so far everything looks good, because it's being produced by the creator of the original Evil Dead movie, Sam Raimi. And its executive producer is Bruce Campbell, which starred as Ash in the original movies and also the Ash vs. Evil Dead series. And September 18, you guessed it, we have another video game adaptation and yet another reboot. And this is another Resident Evil movie, which I'm not really sure if it's just called Resident Evil or if it's got some kind of additional name to it. But this one's written and directed by Zach Kreger, and it's featuring Austin Abrams, Paul Walter Hauser, Zach Cherry, Kelly Reese. And it's the first major Resident Evil movie since 2013, and I'm not full of confidence with this one, but I still keep going back to see these movies, and I'm not sure why, but fingers crossed this one doesn't disappoint. And October 15, we have another video game adaptation dropping with Street Fighter. And after seeing the trailer, it sort of lowered my expectations a bit, but I don't know if it can get much worse than the original Street Fighter film starring Van Damme. And this one's directed by Kitao Sakurai, and it's featuring Andrew Koji, Kalina Liang, Noah Centineo, Jason Momoa, Roman Reigns, and Cody Rhodes of WWE fame. We've got 50 Cent in there, Eric Andre, actual UFC fighters, Alex Volkanovski. So fingers crossed this one's good, and yeah, it gets better than what the trailer showed me, but I've always been a fan of the Street Fighter games, so yeah, hopefully we get a good film finally out of the franchise. And November 6, or around abouts, I think it's dropping in Japan on the 3rd of November, is Godzilla Minus Zero, the follow-up to Godzilla Minus One, and this is probably the top movie that I want to see this year, and that's because the first one I thought for its budget and or not even including its budget, just as a film, I thought was bloody awesome. And this is actually the 39th Godzilla film, and it's the same as Godzilla Minus One. It's going to be written and directed and special effects done by Takashi Yamazaki again, which fills me with confidence. And the main cast, we have pretty much most of the main cast that survived the first movie are back for this one. I will do a horrible way of translating their names, but we have Ryonosuke Kamiki, Minami Hamabi, Miao Tanaka, and I just messed that up real bad. But yeah, Godzilla Minus Zero is actually the number one movie on my list of what I'm looking forward to seeing this year, and can't wait for November. And can't really have a yearly movie list without a Christmas movie. And December 4th we have Violent Night 2, the follow-up to Violent Night starring David Arbor. And this one's directed by Tommy Wirkola again. Also got Kristen Bell, Maggie Nicole Robertson. And I really enjoyed the first movie, and it was sort of a good take on Santa doing what Santa normally doesn't do in other movies. And December 18, we have the newest Avenger, Avengers Doomsday. To be honest, I'm pretty over the whole, Marvel, DC, X-Men universe. But they haven't been dropping a movie every 3 hours now, so I'm kind of looking forward to this one. And yeah, it's directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, and its cast is including about 300 billion people with Chris Hemsworth, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Paul Rudd, Robert Downey Jr., Pedro Pascal, Patrick Stewart, Chris Evans, Tom Hiddleston. So everyone's back for this one, and I'm sure it'll make $1 billion plus, and then it'll give them enough money to keep pumping out some other crap until the next Avengers movie. And also on December 18th, we have the third edition to Dune Part 3, Dune Messiah, which is Denis Villeneuve's third film in the series. And they're starring very similar cast to the original two: Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, Rebecca Ferguson, Anya Taylor-Joy, Javier Bardem, Jason Momoa's back, surprisingly. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this one because I enjoyed the first two movies. Haven't read the books, but this one's based on the book Dune Messiah. And now that was my list of some of the movies that I'm looking forward to this year, and I'll head to the cinema to see them all because I think they're all being released on the big screen. And as you can tell, my list is for me only, and these are the kind of movies I like to see. So if you're upset with what I want to see, too bad.